doop, 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 doop. Yes. Okay. Make myself bigger. Right. So today's going to be a shorty. I've been considering what to do with Something Bunkum as a channel, but also this needs to stop shaking. But also, thinking in terms of like. So there's a rabbit hole. There's a death trap, a tiger trap that I've perceived in doing live streams and being a content creator and all that stuff. And what that is it's like selling out. Right? So like why am I doing this? Well, it's because I want to. It's because I think it's fun and it's something creative to do. But then you look at videos and you're like, man, I need some views. I need some subscriptions, right? Or subscribers or whatever. And so somehow the content starts to become tailored to what the people want. So on the one hand, I think that's a good business practice. But on the other hand, the reason I'm doing this is not to necessarily be popular. Anyway, I think you can go anywhere with that. Advertise on Reddit. Hi, Megan. That's a good idea. I've never used Reddit. I've gone on like a couple of the pages, but it's never become one of my daily things. Like I know people that use Reddit will, like they're on it all the time and they go down like the Reddit hole and they find out a lot of information and all sorts of things. I've used it very sparingly, so maybe it's something that I should do. Let me see what you're saying. Oh yeah, hello. Advertise on Reddit. Yeah, I'll check it out. Let me make a note. I have notes. Advert on Reddit. I hadn't even thought of that. That tells you how much I know about the interwebs. Anyway, so I have this whole idea of, the existential crisis of what to do with this channel, because it takes a lot of time to do, and so if it's a professional gig, then I should look at it like a business, right? In which case, what kind of content do people want? That's the kind of content you should provide, right? On the other hand, if I'm just creating stuff and immortalizing it on YouTube, then maybe I shouldn't care so much. And if it gets popular, great. And if it doesn't, then okay. I'm going to continue doing it because I like to do it. The problem is balancing whatever that is. And I've found within myself in the last couple months going back and forth, right? Treating it like a business where I'm doing it, I'm putting a lot of time into it, and then being sort of dismayed that it's not performing the way I want, and then going back to, I have bigger fish to fry, but then, you see what I'm saying? So that kind of happens. He's a professional social media manager. Ugh. That's like a thing, and I didn't actually expect that. I don't know why I didn't expect there to be a whole profession or many professions, like an industry around social media. Of course there is. I'm just a Luddite. And yeah, I don't want to care about that stuff, but I will take his advice. So the reason I'm jumping on today is one, because I skipped yesterday, and I'd been mulling over some topics, and I was getting a little perturbed with myself that the last few conversations, the last few topics that I've had, I haven't really had like the heart behind them, It's kind of why I stopped doing the Something Bunkum pre-recorded podcast. I did 13 episodes of them, and I started getting this feeling like I'm sort of scrounging for material. If it's not going to be good, then I don't want to do it. So I've taken some time to think about what I want to talk about. That's right, I thought about it. And I have a list on this note that is apparently for Starlix, some medicine in the days of yore. And this is only going to be like maybe, I don't know, I'm giving myself about 10 minutes. All right, so I have felt, if you haven't gathered already, like I've gotten off track. I made this move. I moved to another city, albeit a city very close to where I was living. New house, new map, new all of this stuff, new room, living with someone new. And because of that, even though I'm only maybe 10 minutes shifted in a different direction, right? I felt out of sorts, like whatever groove I had gotten over the last few months during this time we're all living in, that's been scattered to the wind, to be dramatic about it. And so I feel like the last 2 months I've been trying to get back on track, trying to be like, okay, well, yeah, what about music? What about my hobbies? What about fitness? Instead, I just kind of I haven't even been gaming a lot, as in tabletop RPGs. I haven't even been doing that, and that's usually kind of a go-to to deal with, like, to get myself into a creative mindset and to be social, right? Instead, I've just kind of been drinking, and that's not good. So, I had a bit of an epiphany, and it is this. So I do yoga, right? And for a while, I've been thinking, I'm not necessarily good at it, and I've never really been to a yoga class. But it was in my mind, yoga is a very good thing. I want to know more about it. And then I had some people say, well, maybe you should become a yoga teacher. I was like, well, how do you become a yoga teacher? And when you're not like an expert, I don't know. So I've been looking at some documentaries and doing some research. This is the first place into hell that I'm going, yoga teaching. Obviously, I'm thinking about doing it. I'm going to pull up this website really quick. It's a documentary I found on YouTube, which I thought was pretty cool. And it's all about these people that are following, I guess, a group of people that are getting yoga certifications. Now, I'm by no means saying that, I endorse these people. I don't know anything about them except for what I've sort of skimmed through in this documentary. But it's an interesting look into the different kinds of people that want to become yoga instructors, and sort of like the hoops they have to yoga themselves through. So let me pull it up. Yeah. There it is. Boop. So this is it. It's 200 Hours Yoga Teacher Training, a documentary. And I can put the link in the chat real fast. Bam. So I thought that was, or I have found this to be pretty cool. I have not watched the whole thing. I've just sort of gone through it here and there to see. A lot of times with YouTube videos, it's clickbait, and so I'll skim through it and say, okay, is this bullshit? Is it bullshit? Is it bullshit? Okay, I can probably watch this. This seems pretty cool. The instructor seems, I don't know, he's got a weird head. Maybe I can, maybe I can find a picture of him real quick. Where is he? No, she's one of the instructors. She seems fine. This guy, where is he? He's at the end. Yeah, this dude. That's the same woman. Come on, YouTube. Don't slut me. Yeah. What? Anyway, I'm going to take him off there. So, oh God, he's back. No, he's not. So the idea of getting back into yoga seems like a simple thing, right? You just do it. It's part of fitness. It's like doing some calisthenics or isometrics, like some pull-ups. I have a pull-up bar, doing like the weird Spider-Man push-ups and whatnot. And just doing maybe 10 of those a day, or do it for 10 minutes a day. And I was pretty good about that this summer. And then I moved, and I don't understand, like within myself, I'm just not doing it anymore. So today I started doing it again. Remember, this is all about getting back on track. So it started my mind worrying of, well, I can do a few yoga poses, which, as an aside, brought me into looking at yoga teacher training and this documentary. I can do 10 push-ups, 10, what are those called? Not chin-ups, pull-ups a day. This is part of getting my brain, I don't know, pumping, or maybe you don't want to pump your brain. My brain going again. Getting back on track, God damn it. Okay. Second thing, coding challenges. Now, for those of you that don't code, it's no big deal. I do, and it's a big old biatch. It's one of those things, this is not a coder. Coding's one of those things where, like, it's like a skill, or it is a skill, just like anything else. And some people are really, really good at it to begin with. Some people are not so good at it. I've always been pretty okay at math. I can shift my brain, kind of like if you're driving a stick shift, if you know how to do that, and you have to shift gears. I have to do that in my brain, because otherwise I'm in space doing like music shit or art. But I can shift it and go into a mathematical, like, programming mindset. The problem is that takes effort. And while I am a web developer, as for the last couple years, I've been doing freelance, which means I'm not doing it every day. And in the last few months, I haven't. I've let those skills atrophy. So I've been looking at coding challenges. So let me pull up this guy really fast to show you a coding challenge. I don't know at all where it is. Oh yeah, duh. Come on, OBS. Don't slap me. Shwa. There we go. So this is called Code Wars. And if you're into coding, this is my terrible code. This technically does not work. But I've been mulling over it for the last couple days. This algorithm. It's a really simple algorithm, as in you could probably look it up online and be like, how do you do this thing? And you just find it. But of course, the point of doing this is for you to work through it on your own. So this is called Code Wars, and it's pretty cool. You can see, I think, it has this whole, like, dojo feel, right? Like, you have these things called, there's this Japanese element. There's these 5Q, so Goku and Kata. So Kata are forms in martial arts, right? And you can, like, apparently get dojos and groups together, but it's all about coding. And you can do any of these languages. So what will happen is they'll give instructions on how to do something, right? And then they'll have tests that automatically run. So you have a place over here for you to write your code. You can make it big. This is called an IDE. If you want to know what that is, essentially, it's like a glorified text editor. So what it'll do is it will color code your code based on the language, and it just makes it easier to read. So for example, if I were to go here and say something like that, it's all white because that's not code. Whereas if I do something like, I don't know, let is how you declare a variable. Let this variable, right? There you go. So it automatically colorizes it, which is nice. And it can do other things too. For example, like you can move stuff up and down. IDEs do all of this. You can do all the coding you want to do in Notepad, but it's a bit of a pain because if you've ever used Notepad to do anything, you know exactly what I'm trying to say. Anyway, so for Code Wars, it has an IDE, albeit very simple here. You do your code, and then you can run a test on it. And this will tell me that it doesn't work because it doesn't work. So it says it fails 2 of the tests. There's only 2 tests running. One is it sends in this information, gives me this back. And then the other one, it sends in this information and gives me this back. If you want to know the difference, this one is all lowercase. This one has a capital letter. Hi, it's programming. And then if you want to read code stuff, your input is test, it expects this, but then the actual output is this. So I'm nearly there. It's just not, the algorithm isn't working well. I probably bored everyone to tears by doing this. My goal with doing this is to get kind of like with the push-ups, with the calisthenics, with the yoga poses every day. My kind of goal is to maybe become a yoga instructor. I'm going to move to LA. It seems like that'd be a cool thing. And it's something that's healthy and something I can improve on, right? Like I can keep on getting better at it. That's kind of the eventual goal. My eventual goal with Code is to make some really cool mobile apps for like my game system, for my buddy's game system, and make some money off of it. But in the meantime, the actual what am I going to do, what am I doing on the day-to-day is practice. So a code challenge a day. Now maybe I don't need to finish that code challenge each day. For instance, this one I've been working on for 3 days, right? But it's getting the brain lubricated. I'm trying to find a good metaphor for this, and I just don't get it. Same thing with the calisthenics, with the fitness. I'm not trying to go balls out here and become like a power lifter, or the best coder ever, which maybe that's just a mentality that I don't have. I don't need to be the best coder ever. I want to be prolific and be good. That's what I want. I want to actually do stuff, right? Anyway, so there's the code thing. Let me pull this guy over. This dude, this is Steve Kaufmann. Now, I did not know who this guy was. Hold on. I got to pull him up. There. Now I'm back. This is Steve Kaufmann. I had no idea who this dude was. I am a bit of a... I really like languages. I like learning languages. And to date, I'm conversational in 3. English, Mandarin Chinese, and French. Now, conversational, I'm not fluent in those second languages or foreign languages, but I can use them, and they're not too painful to use. I kind of sound like a 5-year-old in those languages, but you can get by doing some 5-year-old stuff. That led me down this rabbit hole of how do people learn languages that are good? How do people that actually are very good at learning languages, such as a polyglot, how do they do it? And there's all kinds of different materials, Rosetta Stones and Pimsleur and all these things, and what is it, Duolingo. There's another app or two that everybody's on. And I've used those apps. I've actually used all of those. And while there's some good practice, they've fallen short a lot. Now, maybe there could be something said for, you got to do it for, 3 years straight, every day, for 5 hours or something. But I don't know. I don't, that's not the way I want to learn language. And when I go down this rabbit hole and listen to people like Steve Kaufmann, that's not the way they did it. And in fact, they have a big problem with how language is learned in schools, in training centers, etc. I do some English teaching, or have done English teaching in the past. And so I have a whole mentality of how I teach my students. And it's not the academic way, right? So where I'm going with all of this, it's the same thing as practicing for an eventual goal. My goal for a while now has been to learn Russian, Spanish, and Arabic. I want to know those languages. But obviously, doing them all at once is... I'm sure someone can do that. For myself, it has proven where I know a lot about a language. Like, I can tell you all about grammar structures in Russian. Can't speak Russian, right? I can speak like 3 lines of it and just sound like a dick. So, how to focus on it, and in a way to where I'm not just spinning my wheels, but I'm actually getting somewhere. So, I was watching this, I guess it's just an interview with Steve Kaufmann, and he and this other polyglot that are pretty famous, their stories are really interesting, specifically his. His story is, and let me get a send that URL really fast. Boop. There we go. Bam, bam, bam. You can introduce me to my current job from tasks. That would actually be really cool. Oh, select SQL. Yeah. I know SQL. It's a very useful language, but I don't know. I do need to get better at it. Acro yoga? Yeah, indeed. Oh, acro. Okay, so for Steve Kaufmann, one of the things, if you watch a little bit of this interview, I say go to minute 4-ish, maybe here, and just skip this guy, the guy who's actually interviewing him. He's a fine interviewer, but he does that thing where it's like it's half of the interview is kind of him talking. So I just kind of skipped over him and watched whatever Steve Kaufmann was saying. One of the things he said was he disagrees with how language is typically taught. Which, who cares? So do I, right? What gives him credence? Well, he speaks like a ton of languages very, very well. And he's also very honest about his level in those languages. He doesn't say, "Oh, I'm fluent in all these languages." He says, "Yeah, I can use these languages. They're very useful tools for me. I understand about them, understand a lot about them, and I'm continuing to get better at them." Right? But he's still a polyglot. To boot, he learned most of the languages he knows after the age of 60. So, for those of you that have studied languages and are into that linguophile life, I guess, there's this whole idea that beyond the age of like 12, if you haven't learned a language, well, you'll never be fluent. Your brain has weaned that away. You've lost it. And it's horseshit. I mean, obviously your brain is different, right? Your brain is different as a child than it is as an adult. But all the stuff that I've been looking at is adults are just better at learning because adults have started to figure out how they best learn. And they can give, actual time into it. You think about how a child learns. You think about like a person. When do they actually start talking? Maybe 1-year-old, 2-year-old. Some people a little bit later. But then listen to what they say and how they say it. They sound like assholes. Because, kids are assholes. But for real, they're not using the language properly. They're fluent in it, but how many words do you talk to like a 4-year-old and you say circumnavigate and they're like, what? And they have never heard of this word. They also can't read most of the time. My point is, adults are much harsher on themselves when learning languages. They're like, I don't want to sound stupid. A kid sounds stupid constantly until they're like 15 years old. Right? That's a lot of practice. They're completely immersed in their language. They're constantly using it. You look at how people talk to babies. It's just constant attention. Now you're an adult. You can't learn like a child in that regard, even if you're in an immersed situation. I know, I've tried it. Now, I'm not dissing immersion. In fact, what Steve Kaufmann says, let me see if I can find this. His big jam is if you want to learn a language, you practice every day, for however long you want. He does reading and he does listening, which right now, and if you have an internet connection, you can do, right? Do some reading online. Wikipedia, actually Gravel Switch, Holker has told me this, or taught me this. Wikipedia has like almost every language, right? You can find a Wikipedia article translated and written in whatever language you want. So do some reading, slowly advancing the level, and then doing listening. Use YouTube, right? So that's kind of my goal. I'm on YouTube enough. I might as well watch a couple videos of Meanwhile in Russia and listen to some Russian and then do some reading in Russian. And I know Cyrillic because I am into that kind of stuff. Anyway, so that's the goal there. Let me see what I've covered. Right. Yoga teaching stuff, coding, isometrics, fitness, and language. Online gaming. Prior to I don't know, the last 6 months, I would have said that online gaming, and when I say that, I'm not talking about video games. I'm talking about tabletop RPGs like D&D, Dreadlore, White Wolf, any of that stuff. I would have said I'm sure it could work, but I mean, even Critical Role is they're in the same room as each other, you know. Every so often they might have someone doing remote, but it's way better when they're in the same room. That was about 6 months ago. In the last 6 months, I've been using Discord here and there to do some online games, just voice and some chat. And I've been both a player and a game master, and it's been very good. It's a different kind of game, a different kind of gaming. It frees you up in certain ways. Just as an example, when you're around a table and you're socializing, you're right there. You can use your gesticulations. You can do the mood, like mood light, the music, and you have that social ability of literally being around people. However, you also get the distractions. People on their phones, people just having fun together, but they're not playing the game. Imagine you're playing like, I don't know, a basketball game or something, right? I don't play basketball, but let's say you were playing basketball. And just in the middle of the game, someone's like, oh, yeah, pass it to me. Just a second. Right? Like, somehow when you get around a gaming table, people are like, well, I mean, I have to have my phone. And it's like, well, what other game would you be in the middle of and just get on your phone, right? Because the idea is you have to take a game serious enough to where it's fun. And it's the same thing with RPGs. If you're not taking them serious enough, they're not fun at all. Of course, the balance is if you're taking them too serious, then they begin to not be fun at all too. So, around a table, that happens a lot. And there's all different ways of curating that. When you do a remote game, as in everyone is remote over something like Discord, those distractions, like you can do a thing called push to talk, where your microphone isn't on unless you literally hit a button, kind of like a walkie-talkie, if anyone knows how to use walkie-talkies anymore. But what that allows you to do is the people that are a little ADHD, or they want to be on their phones, or they're technically, I don't know, typing a paper over here, they can do that so long as they pay attention enough, and it works really well, especially for turn-based games. So, doing some online gaming with Dreadlore. Now, on Monday nights, Ben and I do Game Talk, which is us copy editing Dreadlore. And we're not playing the game, but we're talking about the game and the eventual release, the official release of the game. Hopefully, will be early next year. We'll see about that. More realistically, it'll be like middle of next year or even later. But having a Discord, I have a Discord server, and then having like a consistent Discord game for Dreadlore to try to pull in people that, are not just my friends. Not going overboard with it, right? Like one a week for 2-3 hours. Not a big deal. But the whole idea is to start now building up the community around that game, so that when we eventually do the Kickstarter or whatever crowdfunding thing that we do to make the book, to get the art, to make all the cool bits and pieces and the perks, there's actually a community there, and it's not so much work. So this is the whole getting back on track thing. All right, so that's online gaming. Ooh. Oh, just for posterity's sake, there actually is a Dreadlore website. It's not amazing. But it does exist. Let me see if I can make this actually the right size. That is not what I was looking for. Come on, OBS. Don't slut me now. There we go. I need to change the background. This is one of those, I made this website in about 10 minutes, right? It does use Angular, though, if you're into that. There you go. TTRPG. Goals of Dreadlore. Da-da-da-da-da. I need to update this website. This is how long we've been doing it. Oh, my God. All right. Well, anyway, you can actually go to the book from here. You can go to our YouTube. This is a little deprecated. I need to update these links. You can contact us. There you go. Boom. And you can go to the book, and we'll see if it actually works. It will be somewhat embarrassing if it does not work. Yeah. So you can go to the book there and actually view it. Bam. That's what I'm talking about. All right. Let me throw this guy on. There. On the fly, editing my live cast. So, that's pretty much the ways, or those are pretty much the ways that I am getting back on track. They're the things that I want to do. Now, previous to this, that was not for dramatic sake, but it worked. Previous to this, I talked about a bullet journal. The bullet journal. Yeah. And I did this for about a month, which that was actually my goal, to do it for a month. My bullet journal is not Pinterest worthy whatsoever. Observe. Yeah. It's like graffiti or modern art. However, I did end up using a ruler on a couple things. My point is, what I used the bullet journal for was an attempt to get back on track, an attempt to get myself to discover how I was spending my time, and then also to give myself some time to think about, okay, in a day, all Arnold Schwarzenegger style, how do I want to use my day? You know, there's got to be some time for work. There needs to be some time for sleep. But I'm tired of having these ideas in my mind. Like, I want to learn Russian. Well, I'm learning Russian, and I have been for 6 years, and I haven't learned it, right? Because I haven't carved out the time to do it. So I was using the bullet journal to discover, how am I actually using my time? What are those gaps? Because in a day I'll be like, well, I did this and I did this, but man, the rest of the day, what did I do? And it served its purpose. I realized that about half the day I was doing the bullet journal. It didn't tell me, I didn't want it to be like a food log where I'm like, every single time I eat something, I write it down. But that's actually what it became. And I realized the bullet journal became my task. As do many of these workflow, get your life on track things. They themselves become the habit, or even the habit tracker. I used that for 4 or 5 months in an effort to discover the same kind of thing. What I came to was, for myself at least, simplicity is best. Building a habit is also best. And I don't mean a habit tracker, and I don't mean a bullet journal to, honestly, and I think it's a waste of time. At least it is for me. It doesn't work for my flow, if you will. Instead, I use the Ivy Lee method of making a to-do list. Boom, which is what I did here. It's just a to-do list limited down to 6 things. If you want, you can prioritize them 1 to 6. I have a whole podcast about it. If you want to search through my channels. That works for me. And it's quick and easy, and it's dirty. Boom, I can do it. I want to be consistently doing the things that I want to do. However obvious that sounds, somehow it's so easy to get out of that lifestyle. And then suddenly, at least for myself, I'm doing things that should be fun, I don't really want to do, though, and they're taking up all my time, such as, let's say, drinking. I feel like, for me, I'm not addicted to drinking, but there's like a ritual to it. It's like, oh, it's 4 o'clock, I'll have a beer. But if you don't really want a beer, then why are you drinking it, you know? And those habits are difficult to change because just ending them takes energy, right? And then maybe you don't know what to do in place of them. So that's what this is. These are the things that I want to be good at. They're the things that I'm going to start talking about more on the live stream. As for the live stream, and this is just to wrap it up, so I'm going to continue doing the game talk on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And I will hopefully be able to get enough people to do a discussions later on in the week. Some of that schedule might need to change because my buddy Chris, who I was doing it with, his schedule has changed. I forgot my water. Anyway, that said, I would like to shift my focus onto my own sort of podcast like this, but instead of it being like an hour long, 10, 15, 20 minutes live stream, boom, something that I've really thought about and I can just send it out. So maybe it's even like an update or whatever on this. I'm not 100%, but that's where I'm going to start doing. That is where I'm going to start doing. I teach English. The live streams. And I have yet to figure out a date for that. I will post all over Instagram, just all over Instagram's face, and Twitter, and let you all know. So, thank you for joining, those of you that did. Thank you, Megan, for jumping on. You are my rock. And I will see you probably Monday for Game Talk at 7.